the number of COVID-19 cases remained low in each of the 4 Atlantic provinces, so a decision was made to create an Atlantic bubble. So the question will be then, how will that work? As of next Friday, July 3rd, residents in all 4 Atlantic provinces will now be permitted to travel to Newfoundland and Labrador, to New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Nova Scotia. And they can do so without the requirement to self-isolate for 14 days. The thing to remember is that this does not apply to visitors from other Canadian provinces or territories. Now, travelers outside of Atlantic Canada must adhere to the entry requirements in place in each of the 4 provinces. So if you know someone from outside of Atlantic Canada who plans on traveling to Newfoundland and Labrador, they must self-isolate for 14 days before they can travel within the province. The decision to ease travel restrictions within Atlantic Canada was guided by all of the provincial chief medical officers of health. Decisions like this one are not taken lightly. As this Atlantic bubble opens, it will be closely monitored as we remain committed to working together to support economic and social recovery while ensuring public health and safety measures for all our residents.
Good afternoon. Bonjour. Today I'm pleased to announce that at the end of the next week, New Brunswickers will be able to travel freely within the 4 Atlantic provinces. I want to thank Premiers McNeil, King, and Ball during recent weeks for their insight and cooperation in forming the Atlantic bubble. Beginning next Friday, July 3rd, residents of New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador will be able to travel within the 4 Atlantic provinces.
Today, I just wanted to announce, as has already been announced, the Atlantic bubble, which is taking place effective July 3rd. As many of you know, we have gradually worked at easing restrictions in Nova Scotia. Last week, we talked about expanding the family bubble to groups of 10 and larger outside gatherings to 50. The next natural phase to that was to eliminate the barriers inside of Atlantic Canada. Pleased premiers were all able to come together with our respective governments and public health officials to open up that as of July 3rd. You'll be able to move in and around Atlantic Canada without the self-isolation of 14 days. That will, though, remain in effect for the rest of Canada or anyone outside of Atlantic Canada who decides they're coming into Nova Scotia or the rest of the region. They will have to still self-isolate for that 14 days. But they will be allowed to come in as long as they do that. But this is exciting news for Nova Scotia families and, quite frankly, for Atlantic Canadian families who have been missing loved ones, who are living in other provinces or unable to travel to their respective cottages or properties they would have in neighboring provinces. As of July 3rd, we will get back to what seems like what is our normal life, which is free mobility amongst our respective provinces.